never in my life did I think that I would be making a video defending this man, but here we are. Today we're going to be unpacking Hurry Up Tomorrow. This is The Weeknd's latest film, and I think we all were a little scared, to say the least, given his last project, The Idol, which I watched the first episode of, I think the second even, and I think I said I was good. Like, I couldn't watch anymore because it just was so clear that it was a fantasy in his head. And there's something about having him be the creator and the writer or be closely with the writing and then play that actor. Like, I felt like if he really cared about that project specifically, he should have casted someone else, because I don't think he needed to be that person. And it was just so obvious. I don't know. I hated it. I didn't like it. So for this film, I won't lie, I was a hater. Like, I was a certified hater. I was like, this movie's going to be garbage. He's not a good actor. He wants to do this so bad and he's not good. And I mean, he has the resources to do acting training, but didn't feel like he was really trying to put the work into the acting. He just wanted to be it. So for this film, I was like, okay, like, I'm going to watch it because I have to. But I actually ended up really liking it. And it is very weird for me to kind of like process that because I did not expect that. And I kind of don't like all the hate that I'm seeing around it online. Like, I feel like I need to explain why this might be I don't want to say masterpiece. I'm not going to say masterpiece. But it was a really good film. And I think we need to talk about it. And the reason why I think that I liked this movie a lot more was because he was playing himself in a way. That's kind of how I perceived it. I mean, it's his music. And also, I think he said that this was something that actually kind of happened to him, or it was inspired by something that actually happened to him. So I felt like he played that better than a different character, because I do think like he is a cornball in real life. So, hey, you can't get mad at someone for being a cornball. Like, that's who he's playing. So I think that's another reason why I really like this film. The title of this video is You Guys Didn't Get Hurry Up Tomorrow, and That's Okay. Because I don't think you guys like really got it. Like, it was really giving us everything. Like, it was giving us the drama. It was giving us the comedy, which I was cackling in that movie. Okay. It was giving us the cringe, which, like, hey, it exists in this world, okay? It was giving us the score. I kind of was liking the 80s techno eerie vibes that he was giving in that album, and I think it complemented the film's tone very well, so I liked that. And yeah, I mean, it was just, it took me for a ride. Like, The Weeknd took you on an experience, and I appreciate that because it fully encompassed like an experience. The highs, lows, the mids, the funnies, the cringe, the hot, like, yeah. By the way, I'm going to put this in the beginning of the video, but this is going to be spoiler. So if you haven't watched the movie, save this video and come back to it because we need to unpack, okay? But just letting you know, we are going to be talking about the plot. So if you haven't watched it or you don't care, just letting you know. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to just call the actors by their name, like Abel, Jenna Ortega, Barry, Jenna, Abel, Barry. That's who we're going to be referring to in this video. So when I first walked in the theater, me and my friends were a little bit late just because, we had to, but when we came in, it was the scene of him at the concert, and he is doing his set. The music was giving, like, I won't even lie, this is probably the best part to come in because it felt like I was walking in a club. Like, everything was red. I was like, okay, it's a party. Like, I'm getting into the vibes. And he's doing his thing. He's performing. He's singing good. He does a little tongue flick, which I could have definitely done without. I feel like he's trying to give like Prince or something, like Rockstar, and like after his performance, we meet Jenna, who's coming out of a house. Like, she is, clearly distressed, and she lights that bitch on fire. And she's coming out of the house heaving. And I realized that this is kind of something that Jenna does with her acting. She's kind of like, when she's crying, she's like, and like, okay, girl, period. Like, that's it. That's what she's giving. So she gets in the car and she's listening to The Weeknd. Okay, we get another nice shot of the car like going out. We get those eerie vibes, which again, like world building, like, yes, I'm getting the vibes, very eerie. And she's driving and she steals some gas. She's driving into what I presume is California, and maybe like more of the city. And she is preparing to go to one of his concerts. Now, when we go back to The Weeknd, we meet his friend Barry. And I think it's like his manager and friend. We come to find out that they do have some history. It seems like Barry came from Ireland and he didn't have anyone. And you know, Abel was there for him, and that meant a lot to him. So they're bonded in that way. Already off the bat, there was some interesting dynamics between them. Like, you know, definitely was giving a little bit of codependency, just unhealthy, you know, relationship. After that first concert, The Weeknd is partying, he's enjoying himself, and he's like, don't let me get too fucked up, or like, watch me or whatever. Barry leaves his ass as soon as he, you know, gets distracted. We get a really interesting scene of Abel kind of just like spinning in this club. And I felt like I was fucking spinning in that club. I was like, okay, all right. But you know what? That's what he's going through. So I appreciate a film that can really take you along the ride in that way. So like the camera was spinning a lot. It was having some music that was really just like flashy. And then next thing you know, we're in, I think, a party, you know, we're just seeing the crash outs at this party. Like everyone's doing drugs. The girlies are there. They're smooching. They're having a good time. And I don't know why I thought that no shade to Tana Mojo, because that's my girl. Like when I was on YouTube, when I was watching back in the day, like that girl entertained me. But I was thinking like, these are probably the parties that Tana Mojo was maybe going to, like the crash outs of Hollywood. You know, no shade at all. But that was kind of what I thought of. So they get to this party. Abel is going through it with his ex-girlfriend. He's listening to her old voicemails. She's basically telling him like, you were horrible to me. You treated me horrible. You made me feel so small. And your mother would be disappointed. You know, these are the things that he's kind of listening to, and he is not happy. And we see the first of many scenes of him with this one fucking teardrop that comes out of his eye, or like one or two. Like I know right before they shot the scene, he said, and he said, oh, get it out. Like, I don't know. Like, it was just so like, please, like tears don't even come out of your eyes like that all the time. Like consistently, you're telling me it beads up and just falls. Like, I get it. It's cute. It's dramatic, but like, come on now. Like, can we get a little bit more, can we get some more realism going on here? So next they're like on this private jet, and I think that they're going to their next tour stop. And you know, Barry's just kind of like trying to get him out of his little funk. You know, he's obviously got this like tortured artist lore to him, but Barry's just like, all right, you know, come on, like, let's, are you excited, blah, blah, blah. And The Weeknd's like, call her. And he's like, call who? And he's like, call her. Like he's talking about his ex-girlfriend, and Barry's just like, can we be fucking for real? Like, can we just get over that? Like the girl, she wants nothing to do with you. Calling her at this point is literally not going to do anything but make you look insane. But The Weeknd is just relentless. He just wants to be in this like emotional, like torture chamber. Like he wants to be in this torture chamber of yearning for this woman that does not want him anymore. So, you know, Barry caves, calls her. Of course, she doesn't answer. And this is another scene where he is crying. I will say, I appreciate him showing his emotions and being emotional with his friend, because I don't know why there's like a weird thing about men being emotional with guy friends. There was like a whole trend on TikTok where like, you know, guys are talking about why they aren't like emotional with their friends, blah, 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 whatever. That shit is real. Again, we get this little couple of teardrops falling from his face. Barry's just trying to cheer him up. Like, dude, like it's fine. Like, I'm sorry. Like I hate to see you like this. Like, but you got to get over this, man. Like he gets out of it. He's like, all right. And then he brings himself right back into that place. He starts crying again. I'm like, oh my God, he is in this torture chamber. He loves it here because he just brings it right back to that. He cannot get out of this shit. So in the next scene, they're at their next tour date. We see The Weeknd just like on the floor. He doesn't want to get up. He doesn't want to perform. You know, the fans are screaming. They're lined up. They're ready to see him. And he's just like, he's not having it. He doesn't want to be there. And Barry's like, come on, man. Like, we got to get up. We got to perform. And he's like, no. And, you know, a part of me thinks that people like this, I'll say that, have like a kink for being begged a little bit, you know, like it's a part of the whole like extremities of emotions. Like I think Abel's character, I think that he just is addicted to extreme emotions. Like he only feels anything when they're super extreme. So like he needs to be begged because Barry was quite literally begging this man to perform. He gets on his knees, he's grabbing his leg, he's put his hand on his back of his head, forehead to forehead. He's like, please, I love you. Do you love me? Like, it is so ridiculous. And you know, I think it was giving a little homoerotic tension. And honestly, I hate to say that because I don't want it to be like, oh, like he's gay. Like, no. There is something to the human experience of craving intimacy, and not in necessarily a romantic way or sexual way, just intimacy. Like it's just something that feels good. And I think, you know, when Abel was creating this film, he wanted to showcase that he craved intimacy because this character was deeply emotionally damaged. And again, he only can respond to people when they can give him that like ridiculous amount of like dramatic emotion. And I think that Barry was that person for him, and he's been that person for him for a long time. So Barry already knows the drill. He knows that he's going to have to grovel to him. He's going to have to beg him. He's going to have to like do the whole forehead thing. He's going to have to tell him that he loves him and say, you know, do you love me back? So, hey, whatever, you know, that's what it is. Barry then gives him a little hit of something. I'm assuming it's, you know, the white stuff. So Barry's not perfect either. He is supplying him with the drugs because he just wants him to get on stage. So I don't really also know what their complex was with being a manager and also a friend. So yeah, that was a little bit, you know, weird, but that's their dynamic. That's their relationship. I can't help but think that The Weeknd saw Barry and saw Brent was like, you know, I could do something with that. I could do something with that. And it's like, that's what he gave. He knows, you know, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So this is like probably one of the best scenes in the movie, in my opinion, because that is when he's like, all right, I'm up. I got my little pump, you know, like he starts working out in the mirror, and it just is so like indicative of toxic masculinity. Like he is just leaning into anything that can make him feel distracted from the hurt of this heartbreak, because he starts pumping that iron. Like he's like, I'm about to go on stage. Like, okay, baby, like get that pump. And I won't even lie, he was looking good in that Arm & Hammer shirt. I said, okay, Arm & Hammer sponsorship ? Because it needed to be. But then he starts crashing the fuck out on his ex-girlfriend. He calls her. He's like, you're nothing. I'm a legend. Nobody's gonna remember you. Everyone's gonna remember me.
I fucking love you, you fucking bitch. I fucking love you. You'll be forgotten and I'll be remembered because I'm a fucking legend. I'm a fucking legend, and you're a fucking nobody. I'm a fucking icon.
And I think there's just something so funny to seeing The Weeknd crash out. Like, I think it's maybe also because I didn't expect his voice to be so high. Like, I hadn't really fully heard it. Like, you know, it takes a while for you to kind of get used to somebody's voice. And it makes sense. He obviously, like, you know, sings in a high tone sometimes in his songs. But, like, him crashing out, like, it was just so funny. Like, this is how people who act like that crash out. Like, it is so dramatic and ridiculous, but like, and that's why I think people hate it, but that's why I love it, because these people exist and it's hilarious. Also, I want to say, like, you know, this is pure fantasy, okay? I like to play with fantasy because it's like, it's fucking fun. But I won't lie, if The Weeknd was my ex and he was crashing out over me on the phone like that, I might have to, I might fold. I don't even lie. I might fold. Like, he said he needs me. Like, he said he needs me. What can I do? I'm kidding. Obviously, this is obsessive behavior. Like, he is treating her like a possession. He does not care that he has hurt her. He's just like, how dare you? How dare you even leave me? Like, he starts bringing up what she said to him about his mom. He's like, my mom would forgive me and she wouldn't abandon me. Like, and I'm like, dude, what? He's like, let me come home. Like, I guess she's the home. He's like, let me come home. Like, dude, like, it's not even about her anymore. It is about, like, how could you leave me? How dare you leave me? He's like, I get that I'm not perfect, but like, how could you leave me? And it's like, scary button, because at that point, like, you don't even care how much you inflict pain on me. You just are mad that I'm not there. Like, that's already a sign of narcissism, because he sees her as a part of his plot and nothing else. And she's like, I'm getting out of your plot because that's not conducive to my plot. And he's like, how dare you leave my plot? The world is my plot. How dare you? You know? So it was already kind of giving elements of that. Again, these people exist. And I felt like this was a really great example of that, because again, like, he has crafted a world around him, and the people around him are a part of that story. They're not their own people. So when his ex-girlfriend says, "I'm leaving because you hurt me," and he cannot even process that, he just sees it as, "You left me. How dare you?" Clear as day. Clear as day. But anyway, he is performing at the show. And I won't lie, when it first started, I was like, okay. So it was giving for the first like 5 minutes, but then his vocal cords are shot. They said another scene, like, it's because he's stressed. Not surprised that his vocal cords are shot, because he's like in this like stressful like cage that he is obsessed with a little bit. He can't sing anymore, and he just stands there like a lost puppy. And I'm like, could you not just like go to the back of the stage and lip sync? Like, I don't know. Like, that stadium, everyone was so far away. Like, they can't even really see you, honestly. Like, just reset and go back. But he just staring there like, and then Jenna is in the crowd and she's staring at him like, he's like, and then he leaves. And let me just say, the rest of the movie is a lot of, like, I won't even lie, Jenna ate down with those looks, because, and Jenna Ortega is gorgeous. Like, obviously we already know this, but she is gorgeous in this film. She leaves in the back room and she's just like running. I don't know how she knows where he's going to be. It's like a stadium. I don't know how she just knows the stadium in and out, whatever. She's running to like the back, I guess. And because Abel's like just traumatized from this experience, he runs out and they bump into each other. And I kid you not, they exchange like 3 words. He's like, "I saw you." And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you want to come with me?" And she's like, "Yeah." And that is it. That's how they meet, and that's how they get together. You know, if that's how they actually met in real life, and that's inspiration, you know, like, I get spontaneity, but not the best idea. JS. They go to like a little carnival. They're playing games. They're wearing like these masks, and I'm pretty sure it's the mask that was in the Timeless album cover at first. Honestly, I thought that was super cute, because they both had little masks on, because obviously he is a pop star. He doesn't want to be recognized. And I thought that was so cute. They were like, "Ha ha ha, we got our little masks on." They go in the Ferris wheel. They are doing, you know, roller coasters, not saying anything to each other. There's no dialogue in this like montage of them like hanging out. They go by the water, and I thought it was really sweet, you know, because I feel like that's such a good date. Like, they had a great date. I'll say that. Like, they didn't really talk much, but they had a great date. They were hanging out. They were going on rides. They were laughing, and then they watched the water, and like, that's really cute. So then after they go to a hotel, they're talking, they're vibing. You know, she kind of opens up about some trauma in her life. They kind of connect there, and then they show a really nice sequence of them just being intimate. They were just touching each other's hands, and that can be very like sensual and intimate, just like connecting with each other on such a basic level. I don't want to say basic, but on such a you know, stage 1 level of just like exploring each other's fingertips. Like, that is a very beautiful experience, I will say. But they don't show any scenes of them kissing. They don't show any scenes of them being intimate, which I honestly appreciated, because it would have nothing to do with the plot anyway. They were just really bonding that night and clearly were into each other, but there was really no need to like see them kiss or be intimate on that level at all. So I do like that part of the film. They just drift off into the night after just like connecting with each other a lot. The next morning comes, and you know, I really felt Jenna on this one, you know, because the next morning is like, you know, did you get that clarity? And I think he did, because, you know, he was getting his stuff, making his way. He's on his phone a lot. He's not even looking at her, and she's like, "Okay, where to? What's the next stop?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go to the doctor, and then the next tour stop." And she's like, "Oh yeah, like, where's the next stop?" And he's like, "I don't know." And she's like, "I think it's Australia." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And she's like, "I've never been. I'd love to go." And you know what this man says? He says, "Yeah, you should." sick, because like obviously that was going to be the case. Like, hun, like he's a man. Like, I'm not to say like, you know, but it's like, it wasn't going to be that. Like, he's a pop star, you know, he sucks people's like, you know, emotions out of them. And yeah, he got what he needed from you from that night, but that's all it was. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, you said you needed me. Like, you said that, you know, you said to never leave you. And like, I don't want to leave you. And she starts crashing out on him. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't leave me. Like, what are you doing? And that's when we get this amazing scene of him being like, shut up. Shut up. What are you doing? Like, shut up. And it's like, yes, give us the cringe. Yes. Because that is who these people exist. I'm telling you, like, I really can't tell if The Weeknd is bad at acting as a dramatic version of himself or if he's trying to portray a character like this. Either way, it's probably a mixture of both, but either way, like, I was eating it up. Like, it's so funny. Like, it is so funny. I was cackling in my seat. And Jenna's throwing shit at him. She's throwing lamps at him. She's throwing everything. She's crashing out. And he's making his way to the door. And she said, you know what? Bop. Out cold. The Weeknd is out cold, okay? And we fall into like this dream sequence of him. I don't think there's too much like depth within this. You know, they just show him going into the hotel and it's empty. He goes out in the street and it's empty. I don't really know how they film scenes of like nobody being out. Like, do they kind of just have to like get a permit for that street and just like clear everyone? Like, I feel like that's so much to do for a scene. But like nobody was in the street. And then he goes back inside. There's like this girl that's like curled up in a ball, like crying, and he has like shines a flashlight to kind of find her in like this cave, and then she screams and she's like, "Arr!" And honestly, I got scared. Like, I was actually scared that like he got me good there. So like ends up walking to like this outside bonfire place, and he sees this little boy wrapped up in a little blanket, and he's just staring at the fire, and he looks cozy. Like, he looks cozy by that fire. And I do think that that just kind of speaks to him being comfortable in the chaos, because that's probably all he's known. Like, he's just very comfortable being by the fire, by the flame. So that probably, you know, is what he's saying there. And then also just that he's lonely, you know, overall. I think that's really mainly what that scene was kind of showing. And then, yeah, he wakes up and he's tied up, and Jenna's like, hey, oh my God, how are you? And he's like, what the fuck? Like, get me, like, untie me. And she's like, no, I can't untie you, actually. And he's like, untie me. And she's like, I'm not going to untie you. 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 Like, I'm telling you, like, that's just what she said. She's like, you have to talk to me. You have to talk to me. Because the thing is, The Weeknd does not want her. And she's like, no, you don't get it. You have to talk to me. And you know, like, the girl is cray. The girl is cray. Like, she is like, no. Like, you want me. You just don't know that you want me. Like, that's kind of what it was giving. Like, she kept saying, like, you just have to talk to me. Like, just be honest. Just be honest. Just be honest. I don't know what she was kind of like expecting from him. But I was assuming that she wanted him to say, like, you need me. But I don't know. She starts playing his music. And she's like, oh my God, like, this song is just like so good. Like, it just like touches on like everything. Like, it's about like being lonely and just like, you know, just being lost and being heartbroken and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess, you know, like, it's not anything like groundbreaking. Like, she's talking about fucking blinding lights. Is that what it's called? Dun, 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 dun. Like, it's, you know, it's not that deep to me. But one interesting thing she does say, though, is when she talks about his girlfriend, she's like, you hurt her and she broke your heart, which is an interesting way to kind of describe it, because it's probably how he sees it in his head. You know, he's like, yeah, I hurt you, but like, you broke me. So like, that's worse, even though it's like, you know, we shouldn't be hurting each other regardless. Like, there's hurt here and that needs to kind of heal. We don't need to continue to like open that wound. But yeah, you know, The Weeknd's just kind of like, get me out of here. I'm not trying to talk to you. But then Barry comes and I'm like, period, Barry, yes, save him. And, you know, he's knocking on the door and he's like, I know Abel's in here. Like, we've got to go. And she's like, he's not here. And he's like, he is here. I have his location. She's like, he's not here. And he's like, don't be like that. Let me in. I got to get Abel. And she's like, he's not here. I don't know what to tell you. Tell me why Barry busts open that door, literally takes the fucking lock off the hinge and busts busts open that door. I'm like, yes, okay. Show me that strength. So then, they get into a little spat, like they're fighting each other a little bit. Jenna is such a small girl. I'm like, she's about to kill him. Like, I don't think that Barry knew that she was going to kill him, but I knew that she was going to kill him because they're fighting a little bit. I think Barry ends up trying to like choke her out, but Jenna grabs a little piece of knife and says, side note, I will say, I have a dream of being in a like horror film and having like an epic death scene. Like, I don't know why I feel like I could eat up like being like, like, I don't know why. And I won't lie, Barry ate it up. Okay. Like he was given the, like he was giving us death. So Barry dies, R.I.P. R.I.P. to Barry. And this is like one of the most sickest parts. Jenna comes back in the room. Obviously, Abel is like devastated. He is shocked. He is like, what the fuck? And Jenna is crying because, I mean, I guess like she's also like scared from what happened, but she's crying and she goes to him and cuddles up with him. And she's like, and she's trying to like bond with him. I'm like, girl, you're a sicko. Okay. She's literally curled up with him after she killed his best friend, crying with him. Like, girl, this is not your pain to feel. And you know what? Maybe she got that because she stood up and she got some gasoline and she said, toss, toss, toss all over him. So he's covered in gasoline and he's looking up at her like, I'm about to die. And she pulls up that flame and that's when it hits him. He said, there's only one thing that I can do right now. And that is sing. I guess that fucking stress block went away because he starts singing. And, I could have done with 30 seconds. I could have done with 45 seconds. It felt like it was a minute and a half of him singing. No music, just singing. And like, he obviously has a good voice. Nice teeth too. I thought he had veneers, but his teeth look like kind of real in that shot. But he was singing. So he sings his heart out to her. And honestly, I won't even like that made sense to me because he is an artist. And if I was an artist and I had this obsessed fan who was about to light me on fire, you bet your ass I'm going to use that vocal cord. Okay. I'm about to use the only thing that I got as a weapon. And that ultimately saves him. She looks at him with those eyes like, and then she unties him. I really like the shot choice of showing the wrist with all of the bandages kind of like indented on them. Again, like I kind of like the shot design in this film. And then he goes back out on stage and he looks in the mirror for a while and that's all we get. I didn't stay for a post-credit scene. I don't think there was one. I didn't want to like stay till the end. And I'm like, okay, what did I do that for? But as far as I know, that is it. And yeah, they had a bomb ass song to walk out of the theater to. Okay. And I just thought like, yes, like after all of that experience you took us through, let's get a nice send off. Okay. I was dancing in that theater at the end of the credits. I was like, okay. And everyone hated it. Like I ended up bumping into some people that I didn't even know were going to see that film. And they said they hated it. But I'm like, I don't think y'all really understood what he was putting down, okay? Because I do feel like he was exploring some very interesting themes in this film. And I think it's nice to kind of show that perspective of people who are in this lifetime. Like you can really be a slave to your emotions. And all in all to say, like, I think that this film, it just really highlights the central theme of like narcissism and obviously, childhood trauma and how that can manifest itself in his reality because he has constructed this reality where this is the best way for him to live. He creates this super dramatic like emotions and these super dramatic people because that's the only people that he can respond to. Like, I don't think he can respond to like normal interactions on an emotional level, because it needs to be super intense for it to like make sense to him. So I think it was kind of like speaking to that, you know, kind of showing that perspective of a narcissist. I'm not a doctor, by the way. These are my opinions. But also like, he's just super fucking stressed. Like, and again, he's addicted to that stress. I think he's just addicted to all of these emotions. You know, it even manifests physically for him. Like, his doctor was like, something with like his tonsils or something, but he was like, you need to rest or you can't perform. Like, that's it. And he just took that so hard. He's like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like, oh my God. Because to him, the doctor saying that you can't perform if you don't rest, it would mean an entire lifestyle shift and therefore a mindset shift. And some people are just not ready to shift their mindset to a more growth-centered one. Like, it's a lot of work. That's why people go to therapy, because it takes a lot of work to identify the patterns that are not serving you and then break out of it. And it's a maturity complex, because you have to kind of let go of the things that made you who you were for so long, the things that you let kind of shape your identity. You have to create a new identity. And that is hard. Like, that's not easy. So the doctor saying that you need to like stop stressing, that would mean an entire shift for his life, for him to not have that stress and have it manifested. Like, you have to be so stressed to have it literally manifested in your body. So, you know, he was definitely struggling. So yeah, he's just used to living in this high stress lifestyle, this reality, and he doesn't really know how to escape it. So it's going to probably continue to be his reality, you know. But I did want to also make a parallel to the movie Misery, I believe it's called, because I do think that that was also an influence in this film as well. You know, just with being kidnapped by an obsessed fan.
Editing soleil here. I realized I didn't even explain the plot, but quickly, the plot of Misery is this writer. He is a very successful writer. He has like a couple of books, and he's not really like that creative anymore, just because he's like bound to the commercial success. He writes his final book for the series, and on his way home driving from his little cottage, he gets in a car accident, and this woman named Annie takes him in, takes care of him, tends to his wounds, and she's a super fan, and just like Jenna Ortega, and she reads the manuscript that he just finished writing. And because her favorite character dies, she crashes out on him. She's like, absolutely not. Rewrite this right now. And she forces him to write another book, and he does. He's able to escape her finally. But because of that experience, he had to really confront his creative writing process and has like a new perspective to kind of draw from in like writing again. And he writes another book, and that also becomes very successful. So it kind of just speaks to the traumatic experience and like how it kind of made them confront certain things in their life. And I don't know, I saw a parallel between that movie and Hurry Up Tomorrow with Abel, and kind of having to confront things. So yeah.
I do think that this experience would probably help Abel as well, just because he was forced to confront a lot of the stuff that he just never really made time for in his normal life. And although they are both traumatized, the guy in Misery and Abel in this film, there was something that helped them from that experience. It has that complexity that I'm sure it's probably weird to grapple with. So all in all, you know, this movie was messy, it was intense, it was ridiculous, but, you know, it kind of was brilliant in how it captured, you know, the spiraling psyche of, you know, someone who's addicted to that emotional crisis. And I think that's something to, you know, commend. And I give flowers when flowers are due. So yeah, you know, y'all didn't like the movie, but y'all didn't get it. Y'all didn't get what the weekend was putting down. So that's all I really have to say about this. I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. You know, I'm not a film buff. I don't make videos like this, but I was just very inspired by this film because I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of giving me everything. I was eating it up. So yeah, I just really wanted to bring that perspective out here because I don't think anybody was really shedding light on that yet. I think people will catch on soon, like, actually, no, there's something here. So yeah, I will talk to you guys in my next video, and yeah, bye.